Hello, I'm Professor Louise Almond. Welcome to this virtual open day for the School of Psychology at the University of Liverpool. First of all, we're really sorry that you weren't able to come and see us in person, but we hope that you find this information useful and interesting. So I came to the University of Liverpool myself to study the degree in psychology. And the reason I came was because at the time it was the only place in the world where you could study offender profiling as a master's degree. I now run that master's degree, and I'm also the education lead for the School of Psychology. So what is psychology? Psychology is the study of the human and animal mind and behaviour. So when I tell people I am a psychologist, they often say to me, "So are you reading my mind? Can you tell what I'm thinking?" But that isn't what psychology is. Psychology is a science that helps us understand how the mind works. And by that, I mean the way in which we act, how we feel, and how we interact with one another. So it's the investigation of the way that the mind works. And we examine this using scientific methods because psychology is a science subject. You'll be doing a bachelor's in science degree. We look at how we can draw inferences and how we can draw conclusions about the way in which the mind works and the way in which people behave in different situations by conducting empirical research. So as I've said, psychology is a scientific discipline. So first of all, what we need to come up with is a good idea that we want to study. We need to come up with a hypothesis, something that we're interested in testing. Usually that will be around solving a specific practical application or problem that there might be in the real world. So what you need to do then is transform your idea into a plan about how you're going to study and test and measure in order to confirm your hypotheses. You might need to do an experiment. You might need to do an interview with people or conduct a questionnaire. And all of this is to create data, which you then analyse. You test for your hypotheses, and then you look at how your findings relate to the general population, and then finally how they relate to other people's theories and findings and results. So psychology is a very broad discipline, and it examines all manifestations of behaviour, both at an individual level and also at a group level. So we can look at human emotions, we can look at the brain behaviour, we can look at different communities and contexts. As you can see from this diagram, there is significant overlap between psychology and other disciplines. So we collaborate with other practitioners. There are also hybrid areas of study, for example, cognitive neuroscience, and this combines psychology, anatomy, physiology, and neurology. There are also collaborations, for example, in evolutionary psychology, which looks at how behaviours have evolved through natural selection. Psychology, as I've said, is a very broad discipline, and so it uses lots of different methods and tools in order to collect data. So it might be that we're looking at how we process information, it might be looking at social interactions, eating and drinking habits, for example, personality, intelligence, or even mental illnesses. We look at also how the brain supports behaviour. So we can look at eye movements, for example. We can look at brain fixation patterns or electrical activities. So that was just an introduction about psychology. Most of you will be studying psychology already at A level, and that is why you're interested in continuing your study here potentially at Liverpool. So what is it about Liverpool and what do we do in terms of psychology here within the school? A couple of years ago, we introduced a new curriculum. So this is an example of the modules that you would take in year 1 and year 2. So the first year has 5 core modules, and these link in with the British Psychological Society's core modules and content topics. So this is developmental psychology, so how children, particularly early development, is produced. You would cover social psychology, biological psychology, and cognitive psychology. Throughout all the programme, your first, second and third year, integral to everything that we do is research methods and statistics. As I said, psychology is a science, and we want to test our hypotheses using statistics. In year 2, we use the same core topic areas from the British Psychological Society, but we use research themes from within the school. So this is areas of specialism from the staff. So for example, clinical and forensic psychology, psychobiology and motivation, cognitive neuroscience, and lifespan development. So that's not looking not just at child development, but development all the way through to the aging population that we have currently. We have a range of different teaching methods here at Liverpool in years 1 and year 2. So first of all, we introduce core content and theory in large-scale lectures. So this is where academic staff introduce a concept. For example, it might be theories of social interaction. We then follow this up with what I see as really interesting and the really important part of our degree, and this is the research-focused lectures. So this is where members of staff, or we sometimes use external speakers, talk about how that research, those theories and concepts which have previously been taught, how they apply in the real world. So for example, we have a professor who works with Homeland Security in America, and he uses theories of social interaction to help advise the FBI on how to interrogate counter-terrorist suspects in a more humane way, in that he uses interview techniques taken from social interaction theories. You also have seminar groups, and these are in small groups of around 20 to 30 people. And this is where you work with a member of staff, going through a piece of research from start to finish, so that you understand the different stages of research and what is required at each of those stages. It also allows you to build relationships between yourself and your peers. You also have smaller tutorials, and this is where you're in groups of around 7 or 8. And this is where you again work with an individual member of staff on producing a piece of research. And this is scaffolded throughout your study time. So for example, in year 1, we're quite prescriptive and give you quite detailed information about what you're going to study. Whereas in year 2, you're expected as a small group to come up with your own hypotheses, your own methods, and analyse and write up the data yourselves. This is all leading through to the 3rd year, where you do your own research, independent piece of research with a supervisor. So in year 3, this is where you're able to choose the modules. In year 1 and year 2, everything is mandatory. But in year 3, we have many diverse and exciting modules, and this is a wide choice. You have to choose from thematic groups, and this was the core areas that I mentioned earlier. So you can see the range of, this is just some examples of the exciting modules that we have to offer. And this is the research specialisms of particular members of staff. So this might be media psychology, for example, the psychology of pain, evolutionary psychology, and severe mental illness. We also offer a work placement module in year 3. And this is where in the 6 weeks in the summer between year 2 and year 3, you work with an organisation of your choice. This is where you have great preparation and experience for future careers, and it's great for employability and looks brilliant on your CV. And what's good is that the placement doesn't have to be in a psychology related job. You could expand it to look at a much wider range of job careers or prospects. As I mentioned earlier, 3rd year, the capstone project of your degree is your independent research project. And this is where you gain knowledge and expertise in an area that interests you. You work closely in partnership with a supervisor who's experienced in that area. And some of our 3rd year projects have gone on to be published in scientific journals. Something that's really important and I think is key to the degree here at Liverpool is the range of authentic assessments that we use. Authentic assessments, in my opinion, give you excellent preparation for professional level employment. So in previous curriculums, we had traditional assessments, for example, essays, multiple choice tests, and more traditional sort of assessments. And although we do have a small number of those still in the curriculum, we have introduced across the board authentic assessments. So this is giving you real world experience of conducting real world tasks. For example, producing a policy document, writing a position paper, writing a research proposal. These will be the skills that you're more likely to be asked to do in the workplace as opposed to writing essays. So why would you come to Liverpool? For me, the exciting thing about our curriculum is the exposure to high impact, world-renowned research right from day one. This is through the research focused lectures, where you're exposed to world-leading experts who are at the cutting edge of their research, leading the way in solving real-world problems. Throughout our curriculum, we're research connected, so you're taught by experts in the field. This leads you to be highly skilled, highly knowledgeable graduates, which are equipped for 21st century graduate life, employment, and postgraduate training. The research-led teaching means that we have high quality experience, student experience, because the research expertise is in very popular areas. For example, forensic psychology, clinical psychology, addiction, appetite and obesity. It's really important when you're deciding which university you want to go to, that the research specialisms of the staff match your interests, because it is a very, very diverse subject. The emphasis throughout our curriculum is on employability and ensuring that when you finish your degree, you come out with a range of not just specific skills, but also transferable skills to make you a really good employee. So we don't just focus on the discipline specific knowledge, i.e. the psychology knowledge, we also focus on how you apply that in the real world and on how it relates to jobs and careers, and also the transferable skills. So psychology is known as a transferable degree. So a lot of our graduates don't go on to careers in psychology. They may go on to other career paths. And that is because of the transferable skills that we cover throughout the course. Some of the examples here, such as critical thinking, communication skills, handling of data, and report writing. These jobs, there are a wide range of jobs that require these skills, not just psychology careers. You also have the opportunity during the year 2 to study abroad. So this is in an English-speaking university, for example, in North America. It also, you may wish to travel further afield and go to Asia, for example, or Australia. Students who do this opportunity find that it broadens their horizon and makes their CV look stronger, so they're more employable when they finish their degree. You also have the opportunity to study for a year in China, and this is an additional year between years 2 and year 3. This is a great addition to your CV. If you'd like more information, please, about the Go Abroad or Year in China, please find the information on the screen. Another important reason why you'd study psychology at Liverpool is the city itself. Liverpool has a lot of sports facilities, a lot of music and football, obviously. It's famous for its student life. Hopefully one day you'd be able to visit Liverpool, the city, if you haven't done so already, and you can see what a wonderful and vibrant city it is. Very welcoming, and many people who come never leave. So we have 3 programs on offer at Liverpool for a bachelor's degree. So you have the Bachelor's in Psychology, which is the straight psychology degree. We have a 2+2 program, which is run in conjunction with the Wirral. And then we have an integrated Master's in Psychological Science, which is in Clinical and Health. So this is a 4th year on top of your normal BSc Psychology degree. We are accredited by the British Psychological Society, which means that you satisfy the requirements for graduate basis membership of the BPS once you've completed your degree. but also it allows you to go on to do a master's if you wish to become a professional psychologist. So it's really important, if you do want to go on to a career in psychology, that you select an undergraduate degree which is accredited by the BPS. Our entry requirements for A-levels is if you have taken one science A-level, it is an A and 2 Bs. If you have 2 science A-levels, the offer is 3 Bs. If you do select Liverpool as one of your choices, we will ask you to come to one of our applicant discovery days. This is where we discuss the programme in more detail, and we have exciting talks and different topics from some of our lecturers, staff and students. You also have the opportunity to tour our research facilities and labs and find out more about our research. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you found this useful and informative.